Good morning, everybody. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation for Tuesday, October 15th, 2019. I'd like to note for the record that this meeting is being webcast. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask any questions at any time. Consistent with the policy of our parent corporation, we welcome public comment on the items on the following agenda. After each item is presented and any comments are received from the directors, we will allow members of the public to provide comments. All comments should be limited to 2 minutes and should only address the item that is under consideration. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on today's agenda.
No.
Hearing none, it's so noted. We now can move on. I will now ask Steve Rinaldi to present a request for authorization for the corporation to approve the architectural design of the long-awaited canal side Buffalo Heritage Carousel.
That's right. Thank you, Robert. Good morning, everybody. Last month, the Board of Directors took action to enter into an agreement for real property with the City of Buffalo for the carousel, as well as to allow us to execute land development agreements and leases with them. This month, we're looking specifically at design approval for the roundhouse. It's approximately a $4 million building, 6,000 square feet, and it will completely enclose the carousel. The structural shape is designed as an octagon with a 2-step roof, including a clear story and a glazed cupola. The octagon form or roundhouse is very traditional carousel design. The 8 sides will be formed by heavy timber columns and spanned by a glazed window system. The exterior materials will be exposed heavy timber framing with a natural finish, black window framing, metal flashing, and a metal panel roof. And on the roof we'll have integrated solar panels to assist in the operation of the carousel. Renderings and drawings are attached as Exhibit A, and there is a rendering to my right. The project's been formally reviewed by the Canal Side Design Review Committee to determine its consistency with the Canal Side Design Guidelines. After their technical review, the DRC convened and unanimously recommended that ECHDC approve the project plans as they were presented. The plans were also referred to the City of Buffalo Planning Board for a public hearing on October 7th. Based upon the review and consideration of both the DRC and the City's Planning Board, ECHDC staff finds that the project is consistent with the Canal Side Design Guidelines. The directors are requested to authorize the corporation to, number 1, based on the recommendations of the ECHDC's Design Review Committee and the City of Buffalo Planning Board, find that the project is consistent with the design guidelines established by the corporation as part of the MGPP for the Canal Side Land Use Improvement Project, and 2, to take all related actions. Based on the foregoing, I recommend approval of these requested actions.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions or comments from any directors? Connie?
Yes, Steve, I would like you to explain the lighting for the carousel.
Certainly. All the lighting is on the interior. So the carousel will be lit internally. There will be lights both at the sort of the inside edge of the first level as well as up at the second level. So it'll be interior lit. It'll glow almost like a jewel box in the evening.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Mike Vogel, seconded by Connie Lyden. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. The next item is the South Odd Block Heritage Point Design and Approval. Mr. Rinaldi.
Thank you. In August of last year, Sinatra and Company Real Estate were selected as the preferred developer for parcels A22 and A23 on the South Odd Block. Sinatra proposed a multi-million-dollar redevelopment of the property to be called Heritage Point, consisting of 2 mixed-use buildings with active ground floor uses that would further activate both the South Odd Block and the larger canal side. The program also includes a mix of restaurant, retail, office, and residential units. The project, still including 2 buildings, is now approximately 103,000 gross square feet with a construction budget of $30 million. These 2 buildings will still be separated by an open space component following a portion of the route of the former Prine Slip. Each building will be 6 stories in height, including a mansard roof level and full basement that connects both buildings. Exterior building materials are predominantly stone and brick masonry, with the stone being used for window sills and caps at the parapet terminations. The windows are aluminum-clad wood, the balconies black metal, and the roof will be a standing seam gray metal roof. Again, renderings and drawings are attached in Exhibit A, and there is one rendering we have up here today to my right. The project was formally reviewed by the Canal Side Design Review Committee to determine its consistency with the design guidelines. During the technical review, it was noted that the building 2 roof line, or the building, in this image, it's on the right-hand side. Sorry about that. On the right-hand side along Main Street, exceeded the maximum height of 60 feet per the design guidelines. The remaining portion of Building 2 and all of Building 1 comply with a maximum height of 70 feet. The approved design solution sets a cornice line at the 60-foot height, which would also be used as the spring point for the mansard roof. Again, this is similar to what we did with the Harbor Center development as well, where we brought the brick line up to 60 feet, and where it extended beyond, it was in a different material and a little more contemporary. The project plans were also referred to a public meeting of the City of Buffalo Planning Board on October 7th, and based upon consideration of both the DRC's recommendations and the Planning Board's courtesy review, ECHDC staff finds the project to be consistent with the Canal Side design guidelines. The directors are requested to authorize the corporation to, again, 1, based on the recommendations of ECHDC's Design Review Committee and the City of Buffalo Planning Board, find that the project is consistent with the design guidelines established by the corporation as part of the MGPP for the Canal Side Land Use Improvement Project, and 2, to take all related actions. Based on the foregoing, I recommend approval of these requested actions.
Great, thank you, Steve. Any questions or comments from any director? Mr. Vogel.
I am and will continue to be a little wary of height restriction violations, but in this case, it's in a perimeter area of the site, in a line of other taller buildings, and I just wanted to say I do appreciate the design solution that was reached in this case.
Thanks, Mike.
Connie?
I would like to make a comment that the landscape looks very nice in the renderings, but I would really like to see a schematic plan at this point in time to make sure that the space is there and allocated, and that the landscape is evolving along with the building.
Okay.
Just to note that too, with ECHDC's $2 million contribution for the site work, including landscape, our design staff actually has full approval of those site plans. So when we get those, we'll certainly review them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. So moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Items carried. Steve, to present a request for authorization to designate additional members to the corporation's Canal Side Design Committee.
Great.
Steve.
Thank you, Robert. As you just noted with these last 2 board actions, we put the Design Review Committee to a lot of work over the last few months, and we want to make sure moving forward that we have a full group to work with, including some alternates as necessary. Overall, the purpose of the guidelines is to give direction and to help provide an efficient review and response to proposed development actions. To facilitate the process, the corporation established a design review committee back in 2010, composed of local professionals with specific training and/or expertise in urban, architectural, landscaping, design, construction, and development to review and make recommendations to the corporation on the design of the private development proposals at Canal Side and regard their consistency with the guidelines. The committee currently consists of 3 members: Rashawn Sanubi, who has been with us since 2010, Audrey Ross Sanders, and Mark Mistretta. At this time, the board is requested to appoint 2 new members as well as 2 alternates that will be available to replace a DRC member if he or she can no longer fulfill their committee duties. First, we would like to designate as a full member Elaine Chow. Ms. Chow is an adjunct instructor with the School of Architecture up at UB. She also has a private practice that includes retail and private residential projects, including an Energy Star rated net zero residence. She's worked internationally, including on large-scale commercial and mixed-use projects. The second new member we would like to bring on is Deborah Pease. Deborah has a private practice that provides both architectural and design and construction management services. She's worked at Canon Design, Wendell Companies, and Clark Patterson Lee here in Buffalo. Her expertise covers a wide range of project types, including college and university, primary education, municipal, healthcare, hospitality, transportation, historic preservation. She's an active board member for the Buffalo Western New York American Institute of Architects and leads their diversity committee. For alternate members, we would like to designate Michael Lennon, recently retired from Flynn Battaglia after having worked there for 25 years. Michael was involved in some significant historic restoration projects in Buffalo, including the Guarantee Building, the Buffalo and Erie County Botanical Gardens, Asbury Delaware Church, and the Buffalo Psychiatric Center, known as Hotel Henry, of course. And he has also worked on the Roycroft campus, helping them with their master plan. And finally, the last member we'd like to designate, again, alternate member, Seth Aman. Seth is also an adjunct instructor at UB. He's the founder of Arc and Type, a Buffalo-based architecture and development practice. He previously worked for Architectural Resources and actually did work for us on the East Canal on the former Donovan Block. Seth is very active in the community and serves as an advisor to the Allentown Association and Vision Niagara. The directors are requested to appoint Elaine Chow and Deborah Pease as members to the Canal Side Design Committee to assist the corporation with the development, adoption, and implementation of the design of the Canal Side Design Guidelines. And also the directors are requested to appoint Michael Lennon and Seth Aman as alternate members to the Canal Side Design Committee as well. Based on the foregoing, I recommend approval of the requested actions.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions or comments from any director? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now I'd like to call on Steve to present our final agenda item, a request for authorization for the corporation to grant a utility easement to National Grid. Steve?
A little change in direction with this one. Earlier this year, we opened the Lakeside Complex on the Outer Harbor, including an event lawn, the bike trails, multi-use trails, habitat areas, and a large plaza area. But in order to provide electrical service to all of these improvements, we need a utility easement granted for us to grant to National Grid to permit extension of electrical service from Foreman Boulevard to the subject locations on this property. Pursuant to the provisions of the Public Authorities Accountability Act ECHDC is required to dispose of property through a competitive process unless a specific statutory exception applies. In the present case, the relevant exception permits negotiated transactions when the transfer supports the purpose or mission of the public authority. Furthermore, as the transfer will be to National Grid for nominal consideration and below fair market value, the Accountabilities Act requires that the transfer is within the purpose, mission, or governing statute of the public authority. The following information is provided for this below market transfer. Describing the asset, this would be a 20-foot wide easement for an area of about 0.062 acres, a very nominal area. It was appraised independently by ECHDC with a value on this property of $3,800. Describing the purpose of the transfer, again, it's a public benefit that is expected because we'll have electrical service to allow this area of the Outer Harbor, again, the lakeside complex, to be fully opened and working properly. The transfer will be for $1 and will provide electrical service to the site. The only party involved from the private side will be National Grid, and there were no other offers received, as obviously we work directly with the electric company. The goal of the transfer is to provide necessary electric service, which is required in order for ECHDC to operate and maintain the project site, which supports our mission of waterfront development. As the easement is needed by National Grid to install and maintain the service, there is no reasonable alternative to the proposed below-market transfer that would achieve the same purpose of such transfer. We completed a coordinated environmental review of this project in the past. No further environmental review is required for this action at this time. Based upon the foregoing, the directors are requested to, 1, authorize the corporation to grant an easement to National Grid as described in these materials, and 2, to take all related action.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions or comments? Mike?
A technical question, and I have no problem with the easement itself, but my understanding of the power out there in that part of the harbor is that it funnels primarily into Marine Terminal A and is distributed from there to other portions of the Outer Harbor. And since we're trying to figure out what to do with Marine Terminal A, I'd like to know if this impacts that power distribution in any way. It's a technical question.
Sure.
If you don't have an answer
Sure.
for it, if you give me a contact number, I can follow up.
Well, I can answer it. Actually, the easement we're providing is actually for a utility line that's been in there in the past in the exact same location. So the previous owner had power coming to the site sort of along the driveway, if you will, out by the bike park, and it lit the lights along the street. We're just sort of formalizing the easement for them. So same line that's going to be put in, but completely separate from Terminal A and Terminal B at this point. And I can share more information on the electric for Terminal A. As we get into that, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. And I'd like to thank everyone for today's participation. And I will call a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, everyone.